Hello and welcome. Today I've got this Shimano Ultegra, don't know how to pronounce this really ever. Ultegra rear derailleur. This is the 6500. It's got a beautiful design. Namely, I like this the wing on the back of that knuckle. You can see that work that's been done there. It's really nice. Unfortunately, the finish that's been done on this derailleur doesn't really have a very long-lasting effect, especially towards scratches and reaction to water. I think it seems to have some sort of coating, and when it does get scratched, it starts to look fairly scrappy. So we're going to dismantle it, and then we're going to rebuild it again, adding some grease and giving it a new lease of life. Let's begin. Gonna remove the anchor bolt. There you go. Barrel adjuster. Let's remove the jockey wheel or pulley bolts. Number 3. Allen key wrench. That one seems to come off quite nicely. This particular derailleur, the previous owner has changed the pulley wheels with some tax ones, which are quite nice as they have ball bearings, sealed ball bearings inside them, so they spin quite nicely. We're going to now work on the bottom knuckle here. So we're going to remove this last jockey wheel cage plate. To do that, to access the pivot, we're going to remove this small bolt here that's on the side using a number 2. Allen wrench. So make sure you get inside it properly, and it should come out fairly easily. So now we've got the now taking out the bolt. This now should loosen off. Yep, never worked on, and nice and dry. Look at that. Oh, there's still some Shimano grease though on the actual pivot. And now I need to take out this coil spring. It's stuck like the last one. Got it. Okay. So the part of the smaller diameter on this coil spring was going the other way around. The larger was going into the actual knuckle itself. There's a seal here that we can take off. We're now going to work on the top knuckle. I'm going to take off the B tension screw before I do anything. It's got quite nice threading actually. It feels much smoother than other Shimano parts. So there's a clip right here. We need to use something flat to scoop it off. Oh, that's come off straight away. Be careful your fingers, that's quite painful sometimes when they're smacking into your finger. So that was a seal, and we're going to take off the spring. It's an oval shaped one, not like the square one that was on before. And there's a smaller tip that was actually on the plate itself. We can now push out the pivot bolt, the hanger bolt. And on the other side of that, there should be a seal. You can remove the limit screws if you want. I'm not going to do that. This one seems fairly clean, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to now proceed on to cleaning this. I'll use some soapy water and leave it overnight, probably, at least these parts, and then use some degreaser if you need to use some degreaser. For these particular jockey wheels, I wouldn't really. I'm gonna just wipe them down. I think you can open these up actually and add grease on the actual sealed bearings. It's not very difficult. Right, so I've cleaned everything up. It took me quite a while to remove the old debris, the grease that encrusted inside, especially on the interior of these knuckles at the back here. Very hard, slightly corroded. In fact, some of the metallic parts. I would say it's at least satisfactory for the moment, at least much better than it was before. So now we're going to add some grease on the parts, notably the springs and the pivots. I'm going to use my Motorex grease, although any general purpose grease I think shall suffice on these parts. We'll add some more when we go along anyway. We're now going to put the pivot and the coil spring back into the bottom knuckle that's here. There's a seal here that I'm going to put now. I'm going to cover it with a little bit of grease, and we're going to sit that inside in preparation. Okay, now next we're going to grab the jockey wheel cage, and we're going to grab the spring. So the coil spring, the tip on the smaller diametered side is going to go into one of the two holes here at the back. So you're going to have one that's more tension and one that's less. I believe the left side will be more tension, and that's the side I think I'm going to put it on. So the other end of that coil spring is going to go in the hole at the back of this knuckle. Okay, so it's just got in there now. And what we're going to be doing now next is we're going to push down at the same time. We want that bolt part, this part right here, the kind of like a small little rod that's sticking out. We want that to go in front of the stopper. So we're going to tension that spring and at the same time put it in front of that stopper. So I'm going to do that now. Turning it around and then pushing down. You can now hold that. You want that kind of firmly held down because now we're going to put the bolt into that hole right here, which is essentially blocking and holding the pivot inside that knuckle. And now using the number 2 Allen key wrench, we can screw this down. And nice and tightly. And you should now be able to let it go. Oh, that's really springy. We're going to work on the top knuckle. So there was a small seal right here. I'm now pushing back in. We're going to grab the hanger bolt. We can push that through. Now on the other side, there was the spring. I think the tip of that the longer tip part was inside the actual knuckle itself. So we're going to do the same as the other one and aim for the hole at the back of the knuckle and push that spring into it. Okay, it's in. The other tip of that spring, we're going to take the seal and then the stopper slash B tension screw plate thing. There's a hole right there. We want to put the tip of that spring into it. Okay. Now for the next part, we're going to need a 2.5 Allen key wrench and a plier. So we're going to need to tension up that spring. This part here, that little metal part that sticks out, is going to need to overlap where the stopper is right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this 2.5 Allen key wrench. We're going to put it through that hole where the screw goes. Now, using my hand as leverage, we're going to first push that down a little bit, and then we're going to turn in clockwise. And what we're going to do is we're going to aim for that stopper. So we're going to turn, and then we're going to eventually, you need to push down. Sometimes it doesn't push down straight away. This time it did very quickly. You can let go, hold this down with your finger, grab the clip, put it on the wedge of where that of the hanger bolt, grab a plier, holding everything at the same time. A little bit finicky. Much easier if you have a vise to do this, but this is also pretty easy for me. There you go. Slipped it underneath. That's good. We're now going to put the jockey wheels, pulley wheels back on. So normally it's the G pulley. If you have the Shimano jockey wheels, it's usually written down G pulley, guide pulley. For these tax ones, it says upper and lower. So for the first one, we're going to just aim the bolt back in. You can definitely put a thread locker on the threading of these. Sometimes they come off when you're going to use them after, so I leave it a little bit loose, so when I put the next one on, it's going to be easy to put back on. Install the barrel adjuster. Make sure we don't do any cross threading. Lovely. Right, so that's job done. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this down and we're finished. So thank you for listening. Hope this helped you service your Ultegra RD 6500 rear derailleur. Well, at least this was interesting. Thank you for listening. Until next time, peace out.